The gunshot cracked across the pasture and echoed off the walnut trees like thunder in a bottle. Yeah, you heard me right, a real gunshot, not some metaphor about neighborly spats or a couple of dogs barking over a fence. I'm talking about the kind of sound that can slice straight through a man's life and leave everything hanging in the dirt. Darla. Yeah, Darla, with the box-dyed blonde bob, the shiny HOA badge, and those eyes that never blinked, stumbled backward right there in the no-man's land between my old barn and the windmill, and for one wild heartbeat time held its breath. She'd cross my fence, two hired muscleheads in tow, waving a metal rod in my wife's face, screaming she'd clear us out if we didn't rip down our own gate. So I did what a man does when there's nothing left between his family and the storm. I aimed center, mass dragged the barrel down at the last second and let that bullet rip the dust, skipping it just enough to nick her calf and take the fight right out of her mouth. I can still see her face, shock wiping out that smug smile as she crumpled white capri pants blooming red, her phone already in her hand before she even hit the ground. 911, she screamed, voice all hiccups and panic. He's crazy. He shot an HOA member doing her job. And right then the whole world froze, cows staring like ghosts. My daughter's bike clattering to the gravel air thick with metal and July heat. Then bam, everything snapped back. My wife screaming my name, geese blasting off the pond, those two HOA goons yelling, "You're done, farmer, you're done." Sirens started up somewhere behind the trees, small at first, then swelling, and my old hound Arlo pressed against my leg, shaking so hard it rattled my bones. I stood there with that rifle hands and mind both shaking, searching for anything bright to anchor myself, and I said it out loud to whoever was listening. No one dies on my land. Then I dropped the rifle and ran straight to Darla. Up close, she wasn't the HOA monster from the emails. She was just a bleeding, scared person on the ground, her voice rattling like a porch screen in a summer storm. I tore my bandana in half, tied it above the wound, not too tight, not cruel, just enough to hold her together for now. "Breathe with me," I said, talking gentle as I would to a scared colt. "In, out. You're gonna be okay." Her two men barked threats, but they didn't come closer. Maybe it was my voice, maybe the blood, maybe the sirens coming closer by the second. "Why'd you shoot me?" Darla panted, and I told her flat. "Because you threatened my family and crossed a fence you had no right to cross. I meant to stop you, not to kill you. I warned you. I'm done letting people scare my kids for rules they never voted on." She looked at me like I was speaking ancient Greek. "Emily," my wife stood on the porch with Grace behind her phone in one hand, my heart in the other, the way she always has. I could see it in her eyes. She'd already called the sheriff, knew. When help was needed, knew we were crossing a line you don't uncross. So let me back up a sec, because stories like this don't begin with gunfire. They start with the slow crawl of trouble. I'm Jake Carter. This is my farm outside Hawthorne Ridge, USA. We raise beef and hay, and we try to raise our kids with good hands and honest eyes. 10 years ago, we bought this place, a patchwork of worn-out pastures, sagging fences, and a house so drafty the winter wind would slip right under the door and steal the warmth from your bones. Back then, across the road was a sleepy campground with a bait shop run by Mr. Lyle, where you could buy bologna sandwiches and coffee thick enough to float a horseshoe. Then one spring, the signs went up, Lakeside Meadows private community amenities coming soon. Bulldozers showed up chewing through pine trees, and beige houses rose like teeth on a jawbone. And with those houses came the rules. Grass heights measured in inches, paint colors named after rocks, mailboxes all the same, a flock of geese made out of plastic and paperwork. The HOA called it standards. We weren't in their lines, but lines on a map. Don't keep trouble from drifting. Pretty soon we were getting emails about visual harmony and fence alignment. We said no thanks. Then came a letter claiming our dirt lane was historic lake access. The deed said otherwise, ours like the walnut trees, like the creek that babbles through March whether anyone's listening or not. It escalated. People parked at our gate for sunsets, left trash, sometimes even dogs, one tied to our fence with a note, "Can't keep her. Please be kind." We were. Found her a home. But the HOA got meaner. Letters about mandatory compliance meetings, threats of legal action. I called them up, told them, "We don't live in your subdivision. We never agreed to your rules." The woman on the other end voice, smooth as countertop marble, said, "You use our roads. You benefit from our amenities." I laughed, "Lady, my road's made of gravel and sweat." First time I met Darla was at a town hall, folding chairs, burnt coffee her at the mic in a blazer, all smooth, rehearsed talk about order and community. When it was my turn, I told them what my granddad always said, "Fences keep promises. They mark what's yours and mine, but you can still pass bread across." She gave me that patronizing smile. "We appreciate your perspective, Mr. Carter. We'll be in touch." And boy, were they. Reminders in our mailbox, drones buzzing over our pastures, surveying erosion. Emily tried to be neighborly, brought lemonade to the drone crew. One guy looked ashamed. The rest just shrugged. Still, I tried to be the neighbor I wanted my kids to be. Pulled a kid's glasses out of the creek, gave a woman a lift home when her car broke down, patched the fence when someone cut it, put up a new sign. Private. No trespassing. Call if you need help. My number just in case. I'd rather someone call than cut the wire again. Then, late July, we got a letter pretending to be from the county, saying our gate blocked community access and had to come down in 10 days. Fines, enforcement visits. We took it straight to the county office clerk, found our deed no easement our lane. We figured that'd be the end. We were wrong. Saturday at sunset, Darla showed up at the fence with 2 men and a bolt cutter. Emily was grilling burgers. Grace drawing cats in chalk. I was oiling the gate hinge. "You have until Monday," Darla called. "Take down the gate or we will." "Not your land," I told her. "Not your say. County confirmed it." She sneered. "Then we'll let a judge confirm it or we'll just get it done." I kept calm. "There are kids here. If you think you have a claim, take it to court. My door's open for a talk. My fence is closed for a fight." She scoffed. "You think dirt and a cheap grill make you king." The men stepped up anyway. Arlo planted himself between Grace and the men. Teeth bared. "He'll bite," one warned. "I'll bite first." Grace shot back. She's 8, fierce as they come. Then Darla got real low, real ugly. "If you don't take down that gate, I'll make your life so small you'll wish this farm was a postage stamp. I'll report your animals, your water use, fine you until you have to sell. And if I see your kid on our side again, security will escort her and it won't be gentle. Some words you can forgive. Threatening a kid isn't one of them." I locked eyes with Emily. She was already dialing the sheriff. "Leave Darla," I told her. She put her foot on the fence rail. "Move." I went to the barn, took the rifle down from the rack. Didn't slam a door, didn't wave it. Just walked back outside where everyone could see. "Stop," I said. Her guys laughed. "He's all talk." Last warning, I told them. Darla swung her leg over, planted her heel in my field. Redcap lined up with the bolt cutter. Grace whimpered. And that brings us back to the gunshot, the crack that split the day, the moment every line in the sand got washed away by blood and noise. And then chaos, me kneeling, tying a tourniquet. Emily calling 911, sirens closing and neighbors beginning to gather at the end of the lane like crows on a wire. Sheriff Daniels pulled in mustache like an old Western voice booming, "Hands where I can see them." I raised my hands, rifle on the dirt. Told them everything shot low, meant to stop, not kill. Redcap raged. He snapped, "Hates." The HOA. Daniels ignored him. Looked at me, then at the bolt cutters, then at Grace's chalk cats. And just as things seemed set to tip one way or another, the twist, a deputy shouted, "Gun!" And suddenly Redcap was caught with a pistol tucked in his waistband. Hands snapped to holsters, the world hanging by a thread. Sheriff Daniels thundered, "Don't move!" Redcap froze, deputies took him down, and the sound of that pistol hitting gravel was a relief sharp enough to taste. It was clear now this wasn't just a farmer losing his cool. This was a battle line drawn with steel. They hauled Darla to the ambulance, her voice trailing, "He shot me! He shot me!" And Daniels pulled me aside quietly. "Jake, you're not under arrest for now. But this isn't over. The HOA's got lawyers with teeth. I told him I don't want saving for myself. I want my family safe." He nodded. "You'll have to come in for a statement." Emily squeezed my hand. Grace asleep in the back seat, her chalk drawings on the driveway smudged into rainbows. I saw what mattered, a stick-figure family standing by a fence, word "safe" scrawled in shaky letters. Maybe that's what this whole fight was about, showing my daughter that strength and kindness can live in the same heart, that fences can be firm without turning you to stone. Just when I let myself believe it, a black SUV rolled in. Out stepped Thomas Carnes, Lakeside Meadows, HOA counsel, sharp suit, sharp eyes, thick stack of papers, cease and desist, injunction, threat of a court summons. Emily held her ground, snatched the papers. "We'll get a lawyer, even though we didn't have one yet." Carnes smirked. "See that you do, or this place won't be yours for long." And as the SUV rolled out, Emily whispered, "They're not stopping. They'll bleed us dry." I nodded. "Then we fight smart." But by afternoon, a drone buzzed the pasture, snapping photos, Arlo barking, Grace crying. That evening, an envelope in our mailbox, photo of me with the rifle, Darla bleeding, dangerous, unstable, unfit, scrawled beneath. "They're spying on us," Emily whispered. I crushed the paper in my fist. This wasn't just about land. This was war. That night, Hank Miller, old mechanic neighbor, brought cherry pie, gruffly muttered, "You ain't alone, Jake. You say the word, we stand with you." His words cut through the fear, made me realize this is what community looks like. But peace was short. Later, a bang from the barn feed slashed "sell or burn" painted on the wall in dripping red. I called Daniels. "They're playing dirty," he said, "but men like that only stop when they're forced." The next morning, the war turned deadly. I found 3 of my cows dead in the field, bellies swollen, mouths foaming, poisoned. Grace ran up, pajamas flapping, and I caught her before she saw the worst. Emily sobbed, "They killed them. They really did." Sheriff Daniels shook his head. "This is felony cruelty, Jake. You need evidence. Don't take this into your own hands." But I could feel it. Things were spinning out of control. That night, neighbors circled our house, shotgun on Hank's lap, baseball bat. In Tanya's boy's hands, Earl's old hound barking at the dark. Fear was everywhere, but so was resolve. Emily said, "We can't let them turn us into monsters. Kindness is our line." So I went into town and hired Margaret Willis, a lawyer with a spine of steel. "They're pushing for your land, Jake. But they've slipped trespass, intimidation, poisoning. We'll fight back in court and out." Then it all hit a fever pitch. Fence sabotaged again, footsteps in the yard, another night of terror. Then fire-old hay, shed ablaze, flames climbing the sky, neighbors battling the blaze with buckets and hoses, saving the barn by a hair. Daniels arrived ashen. "This is arson, Jake." But fire doesn't point fingers. I slammed my fist on the table. "We need proof. We fight, but not like them. We fight smart, with kindness, with community." So we set up cameras, doubled watches, strung floodlights and hounds along the fence. Even so, it got worse. That night, gunshots at the fence. Red Cap and Gray Polo themselves, bolt cutters and pistol, caught on camera as we chased them off. Daniels and the deputies arrived, evidence in hand, but warned courtrooms run on proof, not just truth. The HOA kept pushing threat letters, bricks through windows, propaganda online. I took it to the town paper Collins. At the Gazette, dropped the trail cam photos on his desk, demanded the truth be printed. He ran the headline. Some called me a hero, some called me reckless. But everyone had to pick a side now. The HOA doubled down, came in daylight with SUVs, board members in suits, Darla on crutches, lawyer waving eminent domain papers in my face. Neighbors rallied. We've seen your men with guns. You burned his barn. You poisoned his cattle. I stared Darla down. You threatened my wife, my daughter, and you fired first. Still, I didn't kill you. I'm done running. But before she could twist it further, Sheriff Daniels stepped in, deputies cuffing red cap and gray polo, evidence clear for all to see. This farmer and his family are the victims, not the aggressors, Daniels said, holding up photos, letters, proof. The neighbors cheered. Emily cried with relief. Grace whispered, "Daddy, are we safe now?" And for the first time, I could tell her yes. But as the HOA retreated, their lawyer's eyes promised more to come. I knew the battle was far from over. That night, neighbors stayed sharing food stories, laughter beneath the stars, building a wall of hope higher than any fence. Grace drew chalk hearts all across the driveway. Emily squeezed my hand. I looked out at our battered but standing farm, and knew fences might mark land, but kindness and community, that's what makes a home. No HOA, no fire, no gun, no lawyer could ever take that away. So where are you watching from? And tell me, what would you have done? Does justice mean fighting fire with fire, or standing your ground with a hand open for peace? Let me know in the comments, because out here the only way we win is together.